Hello everyone, hello from beautiful Sacred Valley. Let's see if I can catch the last light of the day in order to share with you something fascinating that has revealed itself to me today. That has to do with our self-destruction instincts. You see, many times when we think about instincts, we think about them in terms of survival. It's the self-preservation instinct. How do we ensure that this life continues? But actually what I'm discovering today is that part of that instinct, of the self-preservation instinct, is actually also the self-destruction instinct. It's the instinct that drives this decision on when and how we leave this world, on how we die. And in its healthy form, it's an instinct that is going to kick in at the end of our lives as we mature and age and it's time to go, and the pain of continuing existence in this physical body becomes bigger than any kind of benefit that we get out of it, so we go. But it can also express itself in unhealthy ways in case we get something when we're born or inherit something that makes us feel like we're not supposed to be here in the first place. We're not supposed to be existing. Perhaps it was that our parents didn't really want to have us as a child, or perhaps there was a pain associated with them having us as we were growing up. So we kind of felt like, oh, it would have been better for me to not be around at all. And once we get that kind of dysfunction there, it can start expressing itself in many different ways. So it can express itself in a very physical, specific illness. It can express itself in some strange behaviors that compromise our health or expose us at risk. So for example, it can be eating unhealthy food, or it can be, like in my case, just being less cautious. Like yesterday I fell down the stairs because I was super excited and running and not really, like, being just really reckless. And I've had that for a while, crossing the streets and everything. It's something that has been there with me through my life. So this is another way in which it can express. A third way is actually a blockage that can be physical or psychological to procreation, to having kids. That is basically saying, well, it's time to self-destruct, and it's time to destruct this whole line of life that has made its way to me, as I am right now. And it's a pretty fascinating force. And what I'm discovering as I'm exploring it is that in order to really reverse it or to bring it back into its healthy balance, there's basically two things that we need to do. The first thing is basically to take ownership of being alive in the first place. So we might be having some stories around, I'm not supposed to be here, that might not even be conscious, that can even express itself in, oh, I just popped up here. Like, it just happened to me. It didn't happen for me, or I didn't choose to be here. I was just born, and I'm just this consequence of someone else's decision. So when we have that, it's easy to go into self-destruct mode, because after all, it was not my will to be around here. But I want to suggest this, somewhat radical statement that we chose to come here. Each one of us, each and every one of us, before we were born as souls, we chose to come here. And unless we take ownership of that, it's a very big likelihood that we see ourselves as this victim of creation. Like, somebody gave birth to me and I just popped up, right? And And so once we have taken ownership of our decision to be here, I believe that the second step is really important also, and it's about, well, why did I come here then? And I would like to suggest that we came here in order to experience the enjoyment of being alive. And, and basically taking ownership of having chosen to do so. Because if we have come here and we find that we are suffering a lot, then it makes sense that we want to self-destruct. And it makes sense that we don't want to perpetuate that life and give birth to someone else, right? So for me, what I'm discovering right now as I'm looking at this really weird thing that just popped out in my awareness that has to do with our self-destruction instinct is I'm finding an amazing gift of this awareness that we are being invited by just our very existence to take ownership of our decision to come here and to take ownership of the way we experience this life. And make sure that in this life there is not such a huge amount of pain that our subconscious decides to self-destruct or to not perpetuate life any further. So this is what I felt like sharing with you guys today. I hope it has been useful, and I wish you a wonderful evening, day, afternoon, whatever you have ahead of you. And sending you lots of love from Sunset Time, Sacred Valley. Bye bye.